I used to do a lot of motivational speaking, and I was having brunch with a friend once, and she was like, Heather, why do you love speaking so much? And I said, because when I'm on stage, I feel so significant. Like, I know that my words are like going out and helping people. And like, after that, when I get off stage, I'm like, I matter. My life matters. Like,
Yeah.
I have a purpose. And then she asked me this question that radically changed my life. She said, what if you already are significant?
All right. Welcome back to the Soulful CEO Path podcast. This is the podcast for ambitious soul led entrepreneurs who are building wildly abundant and aligned businesses that create ripple effects of positivity in the world. And I know today's conversation is going to hit home for the ambitious, driven women in this community who have massive visions for their work. And they grapple with this idea of holding this big vision and how to lead that vision in a way that doesn't come at the cost of their well-being. So today's guest, Heather Boersma, I'm going to ask if I got that right, Heather, is a coach, speaker, and author of The Rest Revolution. She has over 20 years of experience in teaching and speaking and coaching, and she helps ambitious women expand their capacity for success without burnout by integrating mindset, emotional intelligence, and nervous system regulation. So, Heather, thank you so much for being here. Did I get your last name right?
Not quite.
Okay,
It's
say it for us.
Boersma. All
Boersma.
good.
As I was
Yeah,
reading it, I'm like, oh, I wanted to ask you before, and I didn't. So,
all good.
Heather Boersma. Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here today and having this conversation with me. A little background is Heather and I both kind of live in the faith community, and we met each other at an in-person event a little while ago. And he was like, I need you to come on the podcast. Because one, I want to learn more about you and your work because it's incredible. And I think it would really benefit this community too. So I want to just dive right in if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So from my experience in working with entrepreneurs for about 10 years now, is that many entrepreneurs, unfortunately, have some kind of story, their own story around burnout. I know I do, and my guess is that you might as well. Why do you think entrepreneurs specifically have this relationship with burnout that they've got to navigate?
Yeah. I don't know if it's specifically for women, but I consider it in that lens a lot because most of my clients are women. And my book is written specifically to women. And I think it's this way for women in particular because we start out with our identity being very much intertwined with our business. And when your identity is tied to your business, then everything feels so much more like high stakes. And so we go all in a way that is almost too all in, and we go at a pace that is almost too fast, not because fast is bad, but because we pushed past our own little internal alerts and alarms and triggers that are saying, hey, watch out, slow down, this might
Yeah.
be not working. And we just go as hard as we can because we're so driven to not only create the thing we want to create, but to prove that we're worthy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that word worthiness. I love that it came up so early because it's one of these things that, I don't know. It's lurking under the surface often when these kind
Hmm.
of things happen for sure. And I can totally relate to that around the identity piece and especially having the way that I talk about my work and most of the women that I work with, it's these soul led CEOs. So people who are not that there's anything wrong with it, but they're not selling something like a candle or something external to them, that is like this product. It's literally themselves that they're bringing to
Yes.
their work and packaging and serving. And it's so personal. So I love that you
Hmm.
brought that in around that piece there, around it being, part of our identity. So how do we navigate that?
Hmm. Well, I think it's maturing as a CEO. And when I say maturing, I don't want it to sound like I'm saying anyone's immature, like I'm in this with everybody else.
Yeah.
But I think the sign for me, when I noticed that I was an immature CEO, was when I noticed how much my identity was tied to the results that I was getting. And it was like if I sold a package, then I felt like I was doing well. And if I did a launch and it wasn't so successful, then I thought something was wrong with me. I thought, oh, I'm not a good coach, or what I have isn't valuable, or people don't want it. It was that link between identity and worthiness that, or sorry, it was that link between identity and the results I was getting in my business that made it feel so heavy and so hard when things didn't work the way I wanted them to work. And I think as you grow and mature as a business owner and a CEO, you are able to detach those two things. And that way you can ride the ever churning wave of entrepreneurship without it taking you along for such an emotional ride. You learn how to
Yeah.
kind of find like your own level ground and let the business ebb and flow and not make it mean a whole bunch of stuff about whether or not you're good enough, whether or not you have something that people want, whether or not you should be doing the work that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that roller coaster, I call it, of entrepreneurship. It's like you're on
Hmm.
it. It's gonna happen. It's like learning how to ride it, as you say. It's not so simple when you're actually in it. It takes skill set to be able to do that and learn and all of those pieces. So maybe that's a good time to kind of talk about that piece. How do you help people with that? So it's like, okay, we have to learn
Hmm.
how to ride the ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship so we don't get caught up in being the result. But how do you
Hmm.
specifically help people with that?
Yeah. I mean, this is why I wrote the book, is because I went through this journey in my own life and I walked so many clients through this journey. And the missing piece that I saw was rest, and not rest in the way of stopping and napping and sleeping and massages. Like, that's all great. I'm all for it. Sign me up for a good nap. But rest in the way of being at rest with my worthiness apart from my productivity, apart from all of the things that I do and create and sell and help people with. And I say in the book, the enemy of rest isn't busyness, it's unworthiness. That is the actual threat or obstacle to rest. It's because when we stop, we actually feel like maybe I don't have value anymore. If I can't produce more
Yeah.
results, if I can't help more people, if I can't have more impact, what is my value to the world? And so the book really helps you to detach your worthiness from your productivity, so that when you do put your work out into the world, it's not, your identity is not also up for debate when
Yeah.
you put your service out into the world, right?
Yeah. Oh, so good. And I haven't read your book yet. And I love that distinction because truthfully, when I heard the rest revolution and saw this for the first time, I was thinking more around rest than like, yeah, like naps, slowing down, some of those things that kind of, come
Yeah.
along with rest. And not again, I sleep 9 hours a night. I am like, sleep is my thing. I want it and I value it. But also, I do know that, there is a certain amount of like grit that it takes to be an entrepreneur. And one of the misunderstandings I see a lot of people have in entrepreneurship that it should always feel easy, or if it's not like
Mm,
totally aligned, then it's not right, and
mm,
that side can take people out of the game as well. So there's kind of like
yeah.
these two sides. And what you're speaking to though is such a different take on it. Yeah, I'd love to dive more into all of that. Maybe even your own, like, how did you come to this, and maybe sharing a bit of your own
Yeah.
story?
Yeah, for sure. So, about 10 years ago, I was more in the world of motivational speaking and writing, and I was hosting a television show, and I had two small children at home, and I was going at like a rapid pace and filling my calendar, because when my calendar was full, I felt like I was good enough. And I ended up having a panic attack on an airplane. And that's kind of the story that I start the book with. And I recognized in that moment, like, this is not working. And I don't want to live this way. And I went into a year of anxiety and panic attacks. And that was kind of the point in my life where I was like, I'm not going to do it this way anymore. And at first, it did look like pulling back. It did look like I stopped speaking and I said no to a whole bunch of things in my life. But my journey over the last 10 years has been, how do I still show up and have impact and dream big and put myself out there without it leading to that kind of burnout again? And the tools that I learned along the way, primarily the ones I talk about in the book, are mind management, emotional processing, and nervous system regulation, and how those three actually work together. Those tools really gave me my dreams back without it feeling like I was always putting my identity on the line as well. And I think I found a sustainable way to pursue my dreams. And I've been able to teach that to so many women who also have big dreams. And honestly, a lot of these women, they are super high capacity. They are very productive. They love a to do list. And I'm all for it. I'm like, your to do list is not the problem. Like,
Yeah.
as long as you're coming from a place of worthiness, go for it. Like, work
Totally.
hard, like, grind even if you want to.
Yeah.
But just make sure that the grind is not coming because you're trying to prove that you're enough. Anytime you're trying to prove, it's going to feel like you're pushing against something.
Yeah.
Anytime you are doing something aligned with your values, it might still feel like hard work, but it's going to be life giving for you. It's going to feel like you're in the flow. And
Exactly.
that's kind of a distinction that I like to make for myself and for my clients is, does it feel like you're trying to force or push, or does it feel like you're like, when a sail catches the wind and
Uh-huh.
you're being like pulled along into something, like you're still going fast maybe, but it's not because you're trying to generate all that energy on your own. You're like
Yeah.
partnering with something bigger that's happening.
Totally. I just learned how to sail this summer, so that analogy works really well.
Cool.
I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know exactly that feeling." But it's so true. It's,
Yeah.
a lot of people may be familiar with flow state and kind of
Hmm.
um, the conditions for flow state, which is actually
Hmm.
pushing your limit to like a high like limit. Like if it's not
Hmm.
challenging enough, the activity, you actually can't get into flow state. The activity has to
Right.
be challenging enough that it kind of
Hmm.
pushes you outside your comfort zone, but you're not so outside of it that then you start to freak out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I totally love where you're going with that. And I think that that's such a beautiful place to be because, in your intro, one of the things I shared is like thing that you help people with is expanding their capacity for success. And I
Hmm.
do believe that capacity is something that can be expanded. It's something that we
Hmm.
can learn to expand. And that I think how do I say this? The shadow side of, uh, I'm just going to call it the soft girl life. I don't know if that resonates for you, but
Hmm.
there's kind of like
Yeah.
movement around like soft girl life,
Yeah.
right? And the shadow side of that to me is that we make our world so small and I know
Hmm.
I've been here myself in certain parts of my journey because I had experienced burnout in my entrepreneurial journey. And then I got kind of
Hmm.
scared of it almost. And I was like, I don't want to
Hmm.
go back there. So then I was like, well, I can't have too many things on my calendar. I can't commit to too many things. I can't. And so world just gets smaller. Instead
Hmm.
of what you're speaking to is learning how to expand the capacity so that you can have a ton of stuff on your calendar if you choose and all of those things. So I don't know if that opens up anything for you to riff on, but that's
Yeah.
enough for me.
Yeah, I think what that makes me think of is like the pendulum swing, right? Like, as women on the whole, we went really far to like the boss babe who's in the blazer and the stilettos going to the office and then the gym and then the kids and she's crushing it. And then I feel like we swung like way back to the other side where we're like yoga pants and green juice and breath work only, like not, no hustle. And now we're kind of like slowly finding a middle ground where we can have ambition and dreams and passions, But what keeps us soft, I think, in that is when we are able to be sure and secure in our identity and our value and our worth, and where we're getting that from is not from everybody else, but we're actually giving it to ourselves. We're learning how to have a relationship of trust and love with ourselves. And maybe that sounds a little soft, even like, oh, self love. But to me, it's like the first time I ever really embodied this was on Mother's Day in 2020. I took myself out for Dairy Queen ice cream. I ordered myself a necklace online. I sat in my car because that's all I could do. And I told myself out loud, all of the ways that I was grateful to myself for showing up as a mom in the last year. And it felt amazing. Like, even just talking about it gets me
I have
emotional
like
because,
chills from that. Yeah, like
yeah,
goosebumps. Yeah.
yeah, like everything that you wish someone would say to you, say it to yourself. It actually feels so good to hear from your own mouth. I am so proud of you for showing up. I am so proud of you for putting yourself out there and taking a risk again. Like, that is the fountain that doesn't run dry.
Mhm.
Every other person's validation never feels like enough. We get it, we're like, yay, and then we want more and more and more. And people aren't always there or willing to give it to us. But when you create that relationship of trust with yourself, then you have this well that you can keep coming back to draw from, to keep going and to keep taking those risks and keep putting yourself out there. And this is how I think we find that middle ground. And then it's all the practices that support that as
Yeah.
well, right? Like, I'm sure you have like the habits and the routines and the things that keep you grounded so that you don't get pulled into hustle, but you also don't try to keep yourself too small, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I want to know what ice cream you got yourself on that day. What was the
Oh, I
go-to?
always love a combo of Blizzard with Smarties and Oreo. And then it
Okay.
has to be vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
It's the
Oh,
best. I love
so
it.
good. I just ordered a DT Blizzard this week. I never get them. And that one night I'm just like, mint Oreo is my flavor, and it
Yes,
was worth it. It was so good.
I
But
love it.
no, I really think that that's so important because the the insourcing of our power
Mm,
and our validating ourselves, there's no like if you outsource that, you're always um, at the mercy of the external
yes,
environment, of other
that's
people.
right.
And you're not in your power. And so sometimes this is where, the highs and the lows, those peaks and valleys come in because when you get the client or your client says that you're amazing or whatever the things are that happen that make you feel really great. Yes, that feels good, but then the come down is there has to be the other side of it too. So
Hmm.
someone wants to withdraw from your program or wants a refund or all
Hmm.
of these things that are just like a natural, normal thing in business, you're not going to be able to handle it because you are
Yeah,
anchored to these external pieces. So it really
yeah.
is this like, non-negotiable skill set, I think, for entrepreneurs to be able to develop this for sure. And I'd love to know from you because I mean, I'd love to hear it in your words, but I imagine a big part of your mission is um, not having women have to go through a year of panic attacks or burnout or like
Hmm.
reach the
Hmm.
point that you actually had reached. So, what are some of the ways that people can either start cultivating this early or notice if something's kind of off there for themselves?
Yeah. Yeah, my dream would be that women wouldn't have to reach that point. I think sometimes we all have to go through our own like rock bottom moments too.
Yeah.
But with all that to say, like, if you've had one or you're in it, that's okay.
Mhm.
It's all a part of the journey. But I would say the thing that I would start to build now is to become aware of your self-talk and the inner dialogue that's going on. I call it mind management, which I know doesn't sound very sexy, but that's literally what it is I didn't know for a long time that I could actually control my thoughts. I just thought I was at the mercy of them. And I didn't know that I could insert my own stories into my brain that were better
Mhm.
stories than what my brain was currently telling me, because all of our brains are just doing their best to keep us safe, right? And if we can
Yeah.
start to insert these stories like it's possible that I could learn this skill, or I am learning how to show up in this way, that would be one piece. The other piece would be to feel your feelings, like
Mhm.
actually feel them. And everyone's like, how do I feel a feeling, Heather? And I'm like, it's so simple. Like, you just actually say out loud to yourself or someone that you love how you feel. Just putting language to the emotion calms down the amygdala, reduces the intensity of the emotion, and then letting it be in your body and move through your body. And people are like, wasn't it bad to be angry? And I'm like, no, it's bad when you resist anger, because that's what
Mhm.
actually makes you react in ways that are
Yeah.
harmful and hurtful. But just being angry, feeling anger, it's not a bad thing. It's not going
No.
to hurt anybody, if you allow yourself to feel it. So managing your mind, feeling your feelings, and then learning how to regulate your nervous system, which again, another thing that people are talking a lot about right now, but I think also gets really like overcomplicated. Like, do I need to go like to some person that's going to teach me how to tap and shake and da-da? I'm like, let's just start with your breath.
Yeah.
Just a longer exhale than an inhale. And the practice that I teach in the book is you breathe in for 3, out for 4, in for 4, out for 5, in for 5, out for 6. And by the time you get through that little 3 breath segment,
Mhm.
you will start to regulate. And these very simple things that
Yeah.
probably don't sound like strategy or like that life changing, I can tell you from 10 years of rebuilding from burnout that those 3 things alone saved my life. Those 3 things got me off of anxiety medication. Those 3 things helped me build a 6-figure business working half-time hours. Like, it's not all of the strategy. It's
Mhm.
these core practices that keep you grounded to yourself and to love and to your bigger vision, and not getting pulled in all the other directions that we're constantly being pulled.
Mhm. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's always the simple things, right? It's always like we
Yeah.
are looking for it to be complex or that there's a silver bullet out there that everyone else knows that we don't know. I always joke about it with my health stuff. I'm like, oh, I will spend all this money on these like supplements, things like that. And then it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not drinking 2 liters of water a day. It's like that could probably solve a lot of problems. And it's like these
Yeah.
little things. And it's the same in business and for our own self-regulation and management for sure.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, super powerful. So in terms of like what if someone what they is experiencing burnout right now, so I think it
Mhm.
is important to you've done it already in this conversation.
Mhm.
But one of the things I think that can come up is feeling bad about it or something's wrong with me or
Mhm.
like I shouldn't be
Mhm.
here. And what do you want to say to people who might be like in it right now? Like we've got these steps,
Mhm.
these tools that you just gave, but is there something like you could share for people who are in it right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, shame will jump on your back as soon as you are feeling burnt out, or even if you're just like having a bad day or having an emotion, like shame is the number one thing that kind of like immediately jumps on us. And it sounds like I shouldn't feel this way or I should feel better. Anytime you're shoulding yourself, you're shaming yourself. So the first thing is to take off the shame. Like, there is no should. It's perfectly fine to be where you are, and where you are makes sense. Like, if anybody tells me their burnout story, I'm like, okay, well, like, let me know a little bit about what's going on in your life. And as soon as they explain it,
Yeah.
I'm like, you make total sense. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with you at all. And burnout is actually kind of there on your side. It's like your
Hmm.
body and your
The
nervous
break.
system is
Yeah.
saying, yes, it's like, hey, pay attention. Like, I really want to like tell you something important. And so this is a great opportunity for everything to shift. Like, if you can see it as an opportunity, and maybe you're not excited about it, and that's fine. You don't have to like it, But if you can go, okay, this is actually an opportunity for me to pause and to find a different path forward, there is a gift in it. And earlier, when you were talking about going, so far out of your comfort zone and like expanding, and then you almost like had something that was causing you to contract a little bit. You're like, oh, I
Yeah.
need to stay safe and stay small. That expansion and contraction is actually a really normal part of our rhythms of growth as a human. So we're not supposed to just expand, 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 expand. If you look at
Mhm.
even like, have you ever seen one of those like flower blooming in slow motion?
It's so
Like, is
cool.
how
Yeah.
nature works. Is
Mhm.
it opens a little bit, closes a little bit, opens more, closes, opens more, closes. So your burnout or your contraction or your pulling inward is part of the process. It's actually
Yeah.
healthy and normal. And so if we weren't just thinking everything in business is like a straight shot up, and we were expecting and planning that there was going to be growth, and then there was going to be seasons where we go more inward or where we're figuring out systems for sustainability, and then we're going to expand again, like that's a healthy normal part of growth for you and your business. So maybe just
Mhm.
taking the shame off of it would be the number one thing, and then getting really curious about what is there for me to learn here so that I can have my next expansion.
Totally. Yeah, I love that advice. Great. Okay, I have one question about the book. So, inside of the book, is there a certain section or a topic or a conversation that you bring forth that you're like, this is the golden nugget, or it even surprised you that it came out?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a section or a chapter called Living From, Not For. And this is a concept that absolutely changed my life. I used to do a lot of motivational speaking, and I was having brunch with a friend once, and she was like, Heather, why do you love speaking so much? And I said, because when I'm on stage, I feel so significant. Like, I know that my words are like going out and helping people. And like, after that, when I get off stage, I'm like, I matter. My life matters. Like,
Yeah.
I have a purpose. And then she asked me this question that radically changed my life. She said, what if you already are significant? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what are you talking about? And she's like, what if before you get on stage, you're already significant? And immediately I saw this picture of like a triangle where at the top of the triangle was significance. And everything that I was doing, all the effort I was making, all the stages I was trying to get onto were because I believed when I got there, then I would be significant. And her
Mhm.
question just flipped the triangle upside down for me. And it was like, significance was at the bottom, and everything I was doing was from that place. And she said,
Mhm.
if you believed you already were, what would you do? Would you still speak? And I immediately knew, like in my gut, I was like, no, I wouldn't want to speak anymore. She's like, well, what would you want to do? And I said, I'd want to have another baby, and I'd want to be a coach. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I stopped chasing this idea of significance looks like this one way. And when I really embodied that I already had it, then everything I do from that place is significant, right? It's not this
Yeah.
like destination to try to get to anymore. And it can look like a thousand things. It can look like having another kid. It can look like starting a coaching business. Now I do actually still get to speak, but it's not the goal anymore. And
Right.
it doesn't feel so limiting and so like I'm in a rush to get there. It feels like a possibility. It feels like there's no rush because I've kind of already arrived, and now everything else is just icing on the cake.
Oh, I love that story. And so wild, right? How nothing changed in your life. It was the perspective. It was just flipping the
Yes.
perspective, and then everything changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really did. Like I was done having kids after two because I was like, kids are going to slow down my growth as a speaker. Like it's going to make it harder to travel, and it's going to make it like take more years to get there. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like not having another child because I was in such a rush to speak. Like what? Like, that's just crazy to me now that I have this third little person in my world that I love
Yeah.
and I can't imagine my life without. And I know when I'm old and gray, I'm not going to be sitting there thinking about the bigger stages that I wish I would have been on. I know I'm not. I've talked to that version of me. She never brings up stages. She's always talking about relationships and family and adventure and connection. And so I'm really trying to make her proud with the way I'm living right now. And
Mhm.
she is not at all concerned about the things that I used to be so concerned about.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
So interesting. Oh, I've loved this conversation, Heather. It's been so good.
me
So many golden
too.
nuggets, so much depth to this word rest and what that means.
Hmm.
And so if people want to read your book, where can they find it?
Yeah, so the book is available on Amazon. That's probably the easiest way, but it's also available anywhere books are sold. So if you go into your local bookstore and you don't see it there, you can just ask them and they can bring it in for you. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram or on my website. My website is just heatherboersma.com.
Yeah, amazing. And what are you looking forward to for we're in October right now, coming into the last month of the
Hmm.
year. What are you looking forward to in these last few months here of 2020?
Well, I kind of made a commitment to myself until January. I go back to school in January. I'm getting my master's in counseling.
Nice.
But till January, it's just like have fun with the book. So I think of the book as like my little buddy, and I'm like, what are we doing today? Where are we going? What fun are we going to have? So I have an event coming up in Montreal. I'm hoping to host a long table dinner in Winnipeg, which is where I'm from. Have some ideas for more things to do in Vancouver. So yeah, me and the book are just gonna have some adventures this
I
fall.
love it. It's kind of like the movie is like the sisterhood of the traveling cats. You in the book, just
Yeah,
traveling
me and the
around. Yeah, yeah, I
book.
love it. So good. Well, thank you for taking the time out to have this conversation today. And thank you all who are listening. If you love the show, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to share all of Heather's information in the show notes. So make sure to connect with her. And we'll see you in the next episode.